This is Marcus.
And Tricia.
And we are
the Messengers
Ministry. And we have a new Teachings from Jesus for you today. It's a Friday, so we hope you guys are having a great Friday, or however day you're off watching this. Hope you're having a great day either way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about He is risen, okay? And we're kind of continuing our study on the death of Jesus, right?
The resurrection of Jesus.
The resurrection, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
The whole shebang.
So we're looking in Mark's account today.
Okay.
We're going through kind of the different ones because they're really pretty different. So today we're going to look into Mark 16 verses 1 through 8.
Okay.
And 9 through 11. But those aren't in every Bible.
9 through 11's not?
9 through 11 is
got
not.
you.
They aren't in the earliest manuscripts either. So, but we're going to look at that specifically.
Sounds good.
Okay?
All right.
So this is what happened back then. The women who had been with Jesus went to the tomb on the first day of the week. They wondered who would roll the stone away in front of Jesus' tomb so they could get to him. But when they arrived, they found the stone already removed.
What?
So they entered to find a man sitting in a white robe. He told them not to be alarmed. Like we talked about that last week. If someone says, "Don't be afraid," usually your first reaction is that you're afraid.
Yeah.
So he confirmed that they were looking for Jesus. Then he had great news. He said, "He is risen." Isn't that awesome? He showed the ladies the place where Jesus had been laid. He told them to go tell the disciples, and he specified Peter. This is when he specified Peter. So all the disciples were to meet Jesus in Galilee, just as he said before his death.
Right.
So he did tell them, he did explain a little bit, but they just couldn't understand at that point. Now,
don't be confused. Maybe we should have said that. Would they have not been confused then? Maybe, I don't know, maybe not.
I don't know. So the women were like trembling and bewildered, and they fled from the tomb. They said nothing to anyone because they were afraid.
Wow. Yeah.
So verses 9 through 11, like I said, they aren't in the earliest manuscripts, but in the NIV it says that Jesus appeared to Mary Magdalene. She was excited and told the disciples, but they didn't believe her. Yikes. So that's one thing we have to remember. These accounts are different, like we said, but some of them have the same meaning throughout them.
Doesn't surprise me the disciples didn't believe her.
I know, it's hard.
This whole thing, he kept telling them, I'm going to rise from the dead, I'm going to rise from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
And when he does it, it's like, no, right? But this is a very different account from the other ones, right?
Right.
So we must remember, though, that these were written from different people with different perspectives, okay?
Yes.
And we know that the women, they did tell the disciples, but it may have been at a different time.
We don't know.
I would be freaked out, too, if I saw that. So do I really need to say something? Either way, though, we know that Jesus had risen from the dead. And, that was the main point of the whole thing.
That's the main point.
So can you imagine what feelings you must have been going through everyone's minds, right?
That would be amazing. I mean,
what had happened was the disciples had lost their beloved teacher and their best friend, right?
Yeah.
And the women who had been caring for him all those years, they must have felt some kind of a longing. You had to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
His mother was there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking about how she felt. My goodness.
Yeah.
Her own son.
Mm-hmm.
Or her first son.
Yeah.
So it was no doubt confusing because, they knew that Jesus had raised others from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So some of the people felt that Jesus was going to be king over the entire earth. And guess what? They thought he was going to take away the oppression of Rome.
That's right. They had this whole other ideal of what he was going to do. And then all of a sudden he dies. Mm-hmm. And that's it. People are like, that's it.
Done.
What happened? What? Yeah. Like all these things that they heard and learned just kind of went poof, because they were just focusing right then on Jesus just died. Right. What do we do? What's happening?
Right. So you've got to believe it was devastating for all of them.
Mm-hmm. to hear the good news that the one they loved and followed was alive would seem to have been so exciting. You know, it's like we would get so excited if we heard this. But we're more accustomed to hearing that people were raised from the dead.
Right.
However, this was new to them. They hadn't heard of anything like this happening except with Lazarus, and Jesus had done that.
Right.
So they didn't know anything else like that. So it would have easily been scary and frightful, not knowing what's going on, especially for the women who saw the angel. That must have been crazy to see an angel like that. So what should have been the most exciting day of their lives was one of the most confusing.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So let's wrap this video up, okay? So I got a question for you. How would you react if something like this happened to you? You know, if your loved one was dead, and then someone suddenly told you that they came back to life. Mm-hmm. We haven't talked about zombies in a couple episodes, so I would have thought zombie, right? So would you be amazed and confused altogether?
Yeah.
Most of us would have probably reacted like the disciples. They just not believing.
Yeah.
So the great news is that Jesus died, though, and he rose from the dead for your benefit.
That's right.
Now you receive forgiveness and eternal life with him. That is something to celebrate, correct? All right. However, you must believe that he did all those things in order to receive his wonderful grace.
That's true.
The disciples, they didn't believe it at first. And especially Thomas. He had to see him.
Yeah. We'll see that in the coming video.
Yeah. And you may not either the first time that you hear this great news.
You may not believe it.
I didn't believe it the first time. But there comes a point that you must put your trust in Jesus.
Yes.
Just like the disciples realized the truth, you have to also.
Yeah.
And accepting this free gift will change your life forever. It worked for the loved ones of Jesus, and it will work for you too.
That's right.
Guarantee.
It will work. Amen.
Yeah. So we hope you guys got something out of this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a comment down below and let us know what you learned. Or if you
thought about anything, if you recognized, or if you have an answer to those questions, what would you do? Things like that. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Recognized. That's right. So where was I going with this? You threw me off.
We hope you have a wonderful day. We hope you guys are having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, however you may be watching this.
That's right.
Or
listening,
yes.
Now, if you want to reach out to us individually, you can always visit us on our website, which is www.themessengersradio.com. Click on that Contact Us button, and it'll give you our email address, which is themessengersradio@gmail.com. If you send us a message there, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Yes. Promise. Promise.
That one should go through without any problems like we've had before.
That's right. All right.
So, we love you guys.
Have a great weekend if you're watching on a Friday. Or Saturday.
Or the
Sunday.
next weekend.
Yeah.
If you're watching on a Wednesday, have a great weekend. We love you guys.
Bye now.
Bye.